What's going on, Chemical Guys family? Thanks so much for tuning in for today's episode of Detail Garage. A lot of us have the same problem where we're cleaning our vehicles, and then the last step is going to be something that's very crucial, and that is cleaning the glass. And this Infiniti has been in the shop and it's gotten a little bit of dust and things on the glass itself and also some smudges. So today we're going to show you guys how to properly remove all that stuff with one, without scratching it, and two, without leaving any kind of streaks. So let's get started. So we're going to be using one of my favorite glass cleaners, which is streak-free. This is safe for your interior and exterior glass and windows, including your tinted surfaces, so you don't have to be worried about any kind of staining or discoloration. But all you have to do is simply spray it directly onto the surface. And I recommend doing just a very fine mist because this is going to reduce any kind of streaking. That's a problem that a lot of people have, is by putting too much product on the surface and then it's really hard to buff it off. But also we're going to be using alternate directions. So for the exterior of the glass, you can use a cross-hatching pattern going side to side or up and down, but you want to change that direction as you move on to the interior. This is going to not only help you wipe away everything safely but not add any kind of swirling action, but you're also going to be able to tell which side you need to maybe work better on or come back and wipe away any streaks. But you can see here, it just easily picks up any kind of light staining, water spots, any kind of dust and bird droppings to restore that clarity and all that nastiness that was just sitting on the glass there. Also, a pro tip while you're working on the exterior side of your windshield is to wipe down the wiper blades. So all you have to do is take your glass cleaner and then spray it directly onto your towel. And this just picks up anything that could potentially scratch the glass or spray any kind of contaminants. You see that light layer of dirt that was sitting on the surface there. And again, this is just going to overall give you a better finish, and also it's going to prevent any kind of imperfections. So now let's move on to the interior of the glass so we can finish off the whole restoration of the clarity on this Infiniti. Now on the inside of the glass, I always recommend sitting in the passenger seat. This way you're not fighting the steering wheel, but also you can turn your hand upside down and really work your way to the bottom of the glass. This way, as you look at the windshield, you're not going to see a streak of dirt or maybe just streaks in general. But now, just as we mentioned on the outside, we're going to alternate our direction. And to prevent any kind of messes, we're just going to spray directly onto the towel. And as we worked outside, we worked in a side-to-side motion. So on the interior, we're going to work up and down. And again, this is going to help us just to see any areas that we may have missed or any kind of streaks to reveal a perfect finish. You can also use a waffle weave towel if you're more comfortable with that for wiping away spent product or anything that's on the surface. It will leave a very clean finish. But I like using microfiber just in case there's something really abrasive on the surface. You've got all these fine hairs and noodles on there that are going to absorb it without dragging it across the surface. And this prevents any kind of scratches because, as I'm sure you've seen before, there's scratches on glass, but it takes a lot of work to remove all that because it's a very hard surface. It's really hard to scratch glass, but it's also really hard to remove any kind of imperfections. Now we finished the inside of the glass and it has a lot of that clarity restored. It looks very clean, but just like our pro tip mentioned, by alternating directions we can see which side we may have missed, and I can see just a light smudge here and also up here on the top. So we're going to go back outside and wipe off any of the excess. We can check our work one final time, and then that should wrap up the glass detailing for this Infiniti. Now instead of spraying the glass again, I'm just going to use a damp microfiber towel. Just buff off anything that was left over, any residue. Flip it over and dry it off. Still using that same pattern, just in case we may have missed an area somewhere else. But already you can see there's a huge difference from one side to the other. The non-clean side, which is covered in dust and pollen and all kinds of droppings and water spots. And now you have a beautifully restored side on this end. And also we've cleaned off one of the wiper blades just to ensure we're not bringing that dirt back to the surface or potentially scratching it. But also when you're working on these newer vehicles, you see that you don't want to lift the wiper blade and potentially scratch the hood. So there's all kinds of ways to, get it to set this way. So be sure to check that out before you lift the wiper blades up and potentially harm the paint on the underside of your hood. So guys, I'm going to work my way around the rest of the vehicle, cleaning up the glass and also any kind of messes that we may have missed. But in the meantime, you can check out these products on our website, chemicalguys.com. Grab your bottle of streak-free. You're going to love this stuff because it works on any kind of glass, interior and exterior. You can also use streak-free around the house on your windows and also your mirrors. If you guys appreciated today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Drop your comments down below for future videos. We'll see you guys next time.